Oh shit. Here we go again.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the second episode of Creating Crimson's Fantasy. We've got quite the episode for today. We're looking at how we'll be handling community involvement, some of the backstory of the game, the process for the art of the game, and the very first step into the programming, the interaction system. Let's get right into it. Recently, I was asked how we'll be involving the community with the game's development. First off, I'll be providing early access to the game to everyone within the first Discord community. This will probably start within the next 3 months as we test out combat and other features. I'll also be asking the community to submit any concept art, inspiration, or anything that they love that's fantasy related. This also includes stories or quests they might have in mind. I've specifically made a channel for this project. You can find it in #the-tavern under the Crimson's Fantasy category. Now, I do want to make this clear, I'm not really good with story at all. I'm not really a story writer whatsoever. So we'll probably have the most minimal amounts of story within the game. Unless you guys can submit quests and stuff, and then I can get that going. But I'll try my best with this stuff. I'm not great when it comes to writing. I'm not exciting at all. But we'll try our best. Here's what I have so far for the beginning, though. I went ahead and wrote a little bit of stuff, and I'll try to make this as cinematic as possible so you can picture it with our current assets, even though it's incomplete. In the middle of nowhere, the player starts off on a boat in the sea, waking up from a long night's rest in the crew's quarters. The player slowly gets out of bed, picks up their fishing rod, and makes their way to the deck. After learning how to fish and catching a few fish, the time passes by and the sun sets. Once it turns dark, the player and the crew find themselves going straight into a storm. It starts off as a heavy wind, blowing out some of the torches on the ship. Loud thunder and heavy rain surrounds the crew shortly after. Then, from out of nowhere, a cannon shot can be heard from the distance. Things become quiet for a couple seconds. Then an explosion occurs, and the mast/sails falls onto the player. Squish. Now, you're probably thinking about this, wow, this sounds really generic. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Because I'm not good at writing. But listen, this is the intro at the moment. We can obviously change it as things go along. Maybe we can have a plot twist at the beginning of the game. Like a super big plot twist at the beginning. I don't know, we'll figure it out. If you watched the first episode, which you should have, we talked about the art style that I've chosen to go with, a low poly art style. In this episode, I want to go through the typical process as to how I created the intro ship. Now, this model is relatively work in progress. There's a lot of details that I want to add and things that I want to experiment with to add more flair to the asset. The entire lower deck area is also a gigantic work in progress. I started off by modeling a rough shape for the ship. From there, I added details and started replacing the base shape. Then I added some more pieces like the mast, sails, and the wheel. Once I felt like I've done enough to start with, I created a color palette which would become our texture for this ship. From there, I started to apply this texture to parts of the ship. Once I completed the texturing portion, I imported the texture and the new model into Unreal Engine. Now, with a few more details like props, maybe some water splashing around in the boat, and a little bit of movement, this could look like a real sailing ship. I went ahead and started some programming this past weekend. Our very first system, the interaction system. With all things that we create in the game, I want to make sure that a lot of things are reusable. This system in particular will assist with a whole range of features like opening chests, doors, activating levers, picking up items, and much more. I made this by using something called an interface. This interface can be applied to essentially any object, and the player can start interacting with that object after a few little tweaks. So far it's early on in development, but I made it so you can start searching storage objects like crates and chests. I made it so when you hover over things that you can interact with, you can see that the object gets highlighted. This is to help players understand what can be picked up or used. Now, I haven't completed the storage object, but what I'm planning on doing is making it so when you open a storage object, it opens up like Diablo, where items get flung out, kind of like physics. I think that'll be really cool. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Here's how it basically works. In the beginning, the player couldn't interact with anything at all, basically just a walking zombie. But the programmer, who's currently gone, oh, wait, never mind, there he is. The programmer then adds in the ability to look at things and understand what's usable and what's not. From there, we have to add in the functionality for the object and make it so you can press a key to use it. And voila, the player can now do things that he could never do before. And that's the end of episode 2. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe as well. If you didn't like it, let me know as well, and what I can do to improve the video. Also, don't forget to check out our Discord. The link is down below in the description. Any credits and stuff that I may have used in the video is also down in the description, so big thanks to them. I'll see you in the next video, though. The next video will be released on Monday, and we'll most likely be going through some more advanced stuff in the interaction system, and possibly going through some of the user interfaces. Have a good one. I'll see you later.